I want to show you something and I need you to actually sit with what you're looking at because the footage coming out of Kankakee, Illinois right now is genuinely some of the most terrifying weather video I have ever seen in a long time. Massive stovepipe tornado caught on camera by a storm chaser, moving across open farmland near the airport, and it doesn't look like something from a movie. It looks worse, because it's real and it's moving toward people's houses and there's nothing anyone can do except run. On Tuesday evening, March 10th, a single supercell thunderstorm tracked from near Pontiac, Illinois, all the way through Kankakee County into northwest Indiana, spawning at least 4 confirmed tornadoes along the way. 4. From one storm system. That's not a bad weather day. That's a storm that woke up and decided it had a personal problem with the entire region. The same supercell eventually prompted a tornado emergency for Knox, Indiana, which is the highest level of tornado warning the National Weather Service can issue. Not a watch, not a regular warning, a tornado emergency. That designation exists specifically for situations where a violent tornado is confirmed on the ground and heading directly toward populated areas. When that alert goes out, the message is essentially stop what you are doing and get underground right now. Kankakee, the tornado touched down near the fairgrounds, traveled northeast through the south side of the city, and then crossed the Kankakee River straight into Aroma Park, where it leveled entire blocks, shearing roofs off some buildings and ripping straight through others. Storm chaser Alex Bartholomew caught a close-range intercept near Kankakee and lost his glass and grill in the process, which is the kind of sentence that sounds insane until you see the footage, and then it makes completely sense, because that tornado was not something you observe from a comfortable distance. It's a kind of rotating column that looks like the sky is being unscrewed from the ground. Wood planks and debris were scattered across yards, streets, and parking lots. Landscape and garden center was seriously damaged with some parts completely destroyed. Windows shattered, roofs torn off, vehicles smashed. One resident described the hail hitting her roof as sounding like they were getting hit with bombs. Another man said the force of the wind was absolutely unbelievable. These are not people being dramatic. These are people describing what it actually sounds and feels like to have a tornado pass directly over your house while you're inside it. One woman had literally minutes of warning. Brother called to say he could see the tornado heading straight toward her home. She grabbed her dog and ran to the crawl space and said thank God about that phone call. That phone call is probably the entire reason she's alive right now. That's how thin the margin is when one of these things is moving towards you. The tornado then crossed into Indiana and hit the small community of Lake Village, where officials described the town as decimated. The path of destruction stretched 45 to 50 miles long. 45 to 50 miles. That's not a tornado that touched down briefly and bounced back up. That is a tornado that committed, picked a direction, and it stayed on the ground for the length of a short road trip, and it took everything in its path with it. An elderly couple was killed when the tornado struck and destroyed their home just before 7 p.m. Their names haven't been released yet. 2 people who were in their house when a tornado with no regard for anything removed it from the earth around them. The homes of 4 local firefighters in Lake Village were also among the damaged properties. People whose literal job it is to respond to disasters came home to find their own houses destroyed. That detail hit differently than anything else in this story for me. More than 250 first responders from neighboring counties rushed into Lake Village that night to begin rescue efforts in the dark, in the rain, with debris everywhere, working in a grid search pattern through collapsed homes. One firefighter described finding a man inside a vehicle with trees fallen all around him, a perfect circle, completely unharmed. She said, "We're going to hear stories like that," which is the kind of thing people say when they've been doing search and rescue long enough to know that survival in these situations is sometimes completely inexplicable. A paramedic who lived just south of the impact zone rode out of the tornado in his downstairs bathtub with his wife and dogs. He then went out to help with rescue efforts. He helped a man who crawled out of his collapsed home who was having trouble breathing because he was covered in house insulation. Because the house was so thoroughly destroyed that the inside of the walls ended up on the people who had been living inside them. Now the hail. Because the tornado was somehow not the only insane part of this weather event. Supercell also dropped hail ranging from 2 to 4 inches in diameter along a path stretching from Pontiac to the Illinois-Indiana state line. Trained storm spotter in Kankakee reported a hailstone measuring 6 inches in diameter, which could become a new Illinois state record if officially verified. 6 inches. 6-inch hailstone is roughly the size of a grapefruit. It is a solid ball of ice the size of a piece of fruit falling from the sky at terminal velocity. If you've ever wondered what it would feel like to have someone throw a grapefruit at your car at full speed from a great height, Tuesday night answered that question for a lot of people in Kankakee County. And the answer is not great. Storm chaser footage is what keeps getting me though. You can watch this tornado on video and it looks like the kind of thing that belongs in a disaster movie where the CGI budget was unlimited. It's a perfectly formed stovepipe. Clean rotation, moving across flat farmland with complete confidence like it owns the entire state of Illinois, and just making a property inspection. The kind of tornado that meteorologists look at and immediately call a tornado emergency because there's no other appropriate response. Kankakee County, the city of Kankakee, and surrounding areas filed an emergency declaration with the state of Illinois for disaster assistance. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said he had been briefed on the damage and was monitoring the situation. American Red Cross opened a shelter at Kankakee Community College, offering meals, charging stations, and pet kennels for displaced residents, which is what the immediate aftermath of something like this looks like. Not the dramatic part you see on the video. The part where people who lost everything show up somewhere with their dog and whatever they grabbed on the way out and figure out what happens next. Footage is going to keep circulating online because that's what happens when someone captures something genuinely unprecedented on camera. But behind every clip of that stovepipe rotating over farmland, there's a neighborhood that doesn't look like a neighborhood anymore. There's an elderly couple that didn't make it out. There are 250 people searching through debris in the dark, trying to make sure nobody is buried underneath it. Stay safe.